Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me. I haven't done a live in a really long time. I actually had to figure out how to do this again because I haven't probably gone live in several years. So if for some reason something goes wrong, let me know in the chat. So thanks for joining me, and thank you so much for 10,000 subscribers. I hit that a couple of weeks ago, and so I really appreciate every single one of you coming on, watching my videos, and sending me comments and liking. I appreciate all of that. So if you're joining me live, because I am recording this for a replay, if you're joining me live, tell me where you're watching from. We've got a few people already leaving me messages in the chat. And I was in here earlier testing things out, and there were a couple of chats, but they've disappeared now. So if you're here now and you don't see your chat from earlier, I think they must have some sort of time limit. Could you leave it again? Because I'm not seeing them anywhere. I've checked in YouTube and cannot find them. So I apologize to you because I don't know where they've gone to. So Massachusetts, Dubai, hello. Thanks so much for joining, guys. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into some of the questions that I've already gotten. I asked over in the community tab already. And then I see the few questions here. So I'll go ahead and answer a couple of those from the pre-done ones. And then I will answer these ones over here, and then we'll go back to the list. And I have it on a piece of paper because there were actually way more than I expected. So thank you for that. One of the very first questions I got is super easy for me to answer because they asked me what the best shoes are for Greece. You want something with traction. In the summer, that can be hard because it's really hot. You either want to wear really cute sandals or you want to wear flip-flops or something to the beach, but they don't always have cute sandals and traction. And this was a woman that's asking me this. So guys, sorry. So these are actually something I wear when I know I want to go hiking or if I'm going to go somewhere slippery. These are these Keens, and yeah, they look really awful because I've had them for many years. But what I like about them is they have quite a bit of traction on them, and they're closed-toed. I actually walked up in Petra in these, and I've linked these somewhere in the product description. YouTube has this new thing where you can link products, and I hope I've done it correctly. I probably haven't, so if not, I will come back and put it in the description later. So anyway, these are the shoes that I recommend. There is a second one. I just didn't bring them both out. Yeah, I have my background blurred out because my house is not that great looking. So that's why I feel I have this weird thing going on here. I could turn it off, but then you're gonna have to look at my ugly house. So we'll see. If it gets weird, then I'll turn it off. Hello from Ireland. Okay, I'm gonna get to the next couple of questions. One of them was, are there enough things to do for a trip to Marathon? I've never been there, so I don't know for sure. So I did a quick look. There isn't a ton. I would say a lot of people go because they want to see it, and then they go to the beach. So if you're looking for a place to kind of hit a little bit of sightseeing in the morning and then go to the beach in the afternoon, it's a great spot. It's not that far from Athens. So obviously it's 26 point whatever length it is. I don't know what a marathon is, but anyway, so that's my answer for that. So I'm going to answer a few of these that are here in the chat. So Andrews asked, if you're a US citizen, but you carry a Greek residence permit when you go back to Greece, do you enter through the foreign area or do you still go through? If you're here on a residence permit, you're never a citizen. So you're never going to be able to go through the EU line. I can't go through the EU line. I have to use the foreigners. A residence permit doesn't get you any sort of benefit into joining the going through the lines at passport control. Kind of stinky. I know. Okay. And then Julie has asked, do you think 2 days in Patmos and Rhodes is enough? I don't think you can do all of those in 2 days. I've never visited Simi and Rhodes. I've been to Patmos, but I was on a sailboat. You have to consider you would need to look at the ferry schedule and see if it's even possible because you may want to do those, but maybe you're saying 2 days for each of them? Not sure. Patmos is pretty small, so is Simi. Rhodes, on the other hand, is a little bit bigger. Maybe you can clarify, you're asking for 2 days each or 2 days amongst all 3? Because that might be helpful. Hello, hello. Oh, Roger is on his way, boarding their flights to Athens. Have a safe flight. You're probably, you know, probably anxiously awaiting. You may not even be here anymore. Yes, I have slow mode on because I don't want to get too lost in the chat because I'm trying to answer these questions. So 2 days in each. Julie says she's doing 2 days in each. Yeah, I think that's fine. I don't you would need to see like in roads if that's enough. I think just because I don't know what the public transportation is like there, so you might need to see like if you're going to rent a car, that might be something you want to consider. So you might need 3 days, but definitely for Patmos and Simi, I think you probably only need 2. Okay, I'm going to go back to my list. I got one person who asked me the best of like drinks and food and desserts. I'm going to answer these to the best. Okay, Thomas is saying that you need 5 days in Rhodes. And yeah, I know that 2 might be not enough. So I'm going to go with Thomas's suggestion because I haven't been. So let's go with that. So, best refreshing drink. You're welcome. Best refreshing drink. I'm not a big like person who drinks things that aren't water or coffee. So I would say that in the summer, what you're going to see Greeks drinking a lot here is like cold coffee. So Freddo cappuccino, Freddo espresso, or frappe. If you have a frappe, be prepared to be awake for forever because it's got so much sugar and caffeine in it. Best alcoholic drink. Okay, well, it depends on what kind of alcohol we're talking about. I'm a beer girl, or I was until I stopped having gluten, but they have some really great beers here. I really like Amamos is great. If you want like an alcoholic drink, like anything with mastica or ouzo is good. Not that I love those, but and somebody else is saying Mythos. You know, Mythos used to be my favorite until I tried a Mamos. But sometimes you can't get a Mamos. Mamos is not as popular or found in many islands, so Mythos is my next choice. So if I'm going to drink like a Greek liqueur, then Mastika is the thing that I like. Raki is also good. If you're here in the winter and you want to have something warm, try a Rocco Mello, which is a Raki with honey, and usually it's served warm in the winter. So, best food. My favorite foods here are, I mean, we could go on for a while. Imam, which is like an eggplant thing, and then zucchini balls. Not zucchini, like fried zucchini, but zucchini balls. It's like a meatball, but made with zucchini. Let's see. There's so many things that I love here. Greek food is amazing. Best dessert. One of my favorite things is actually the orange pie, which is pretty common and pretty easy to find. Like it's like an orange pie, like it's not a pie, it's a cake, really. They call it pie, but then they put this orange or honey syrup all over it. So good. My let's see. Tommy's asking, his wife is a picky eater. What are her options? Like she likes to eat meat and potatoes or doesn't like to eat meat and potatoes. Can you just clarify? What do you use when you I've never had a problem with anybody speaking English. Now, sometimes the English may not be great, but my Greek is not good enough to have like any kind of official conversation about anything. But if you don't want to stress about it, you can hire somebody. You can either hire a lawyer, you can hire a translator, but I've never had any issues with anyone. Like I've done my whole residence renewal permit process on my own. I have Google Translate installed on everything, on my web browser, on my phone. Never had an issue. Like I mean, I make an effort. I'm like, I'll say "Signomi me ligo Elenica," which means I don't speak much Greek, and then they're like, "Oh, no problem," and they'll speak to me in English. Now, sometimes their English isn't amazing, but it doesn't need to be amazing. We don't need to have an in-depth conversation. So, yeah. Somebody asked me if I'd been to Gla. They spelled it GLA, and I was like, "I've never even heard of this." I had to Google it, and I think I'm missing out. It's some sort of archaeological site up in the mainland, like, northwest of here. It looks really cool. On the satellite view, it was, like, nothing, but when I, like, zoomed in, I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing." So, I was like, how do I get there?" Yes, the dust kind of cleared up, like, the next day. It wasn't orange like it was, and then, like, it was still kind of, like, overcast, like, cloudy, but now we had blue skies all day today. So, okay. How is my Greek? Somebody was asking. Well, what I might have said as you may have noticed, it's still not great. It's I was taking lessons with a person when I first moved here, and then that kind of petered out. So I've just been doing an app, which is not a great way to learn. But I try to actively listen when I'm out. So I understand a lot more than I did, but I can't always respond. So I understand what's happening around me, but I can't necessarily like respond appropriately. I can say yes, no, okay, that sort of thing. So if you ask me, and if they speak too fast, forget it. I can't. I can't. Uh, okay. So the Affy Me, I actually had my attorney do. So when I first came and applied for my uh, residence permit, I had an attorney because at the time the process wasn't online. You had to like call and make an appointment, and of course my Greek was even less than, so I wasn't dealing with all that. So when I hired my attorney, they got me the Affy Me. I think you can make an appointment online now and get it done, but you still have to have like a Greek representative go with you. It's like their rule. So you could hire an accountant, which is fairly inexpensive. It's probably should be no more than like 50 or 60 euros to hire them and have them go with you. Opening a Greek bank account is like a big nightmare. I will tell you that. I have National Bank. Um, I would say it depends on where you are gonna do this. Like if you're gonna be in Athens, if you're gonna be on an island, you're just gonna have to find the one that works the best, unfortunately. There's like 1,000 pieces of paper that you need, and the bank will tell you what it is that you need, and you're probably gonna have to go back more than once. And it took me a month to get an appointment because I had to do it in person. Okay. The next question I got from the pre-asked questions is how do I make friends, and are my friends mostly Greeks or expats, and have I found it difficult? Um, you guys are gonna laugh when I tell you this. I don't have like a huge group of friends. I am not a person that has like a big friend group naturally. I've just never been that way. I'm kind of an introvert, and um, and so it's the Sorry, it's telling me my Wi-Fi isn't great. Okay, that went away. Sorry. So I'm probably not the best person to ask on like how to make friends. There are tons of expat groups here in Athens and it's mostly Europeans, I would say. It's not like a lot of Americans and Brits in those groups. It's mainly other Europeans. I have a mix. Like I have a mix of friends that are Greek American, a lot of Greek American friends, and European friends. And so kind of varies. I find it difficult to make friends, but that's just because of my like personal nature. um, yeah, I'm probably not the best person to ask that. I hate to say it. Like that's part of the reason I travel by myself a lot because it's just easier for me. Um, okay, the next question was the person is catching an early ferry like the 7, I think it was like the 7:15, 7 o'clock ferry. Do I suggest if they stay in Piraeus the night before or take a taxi down? I just take a taxi down. It's like a 20-minute taxi ride, especially at that hour. There isn't a lot of traffic. I try to get there about an hour before just so I can get on the ferry and like um, pick a seat because I don't usually pay for the seat. I just book the economy ticket. So I want to get there and like claim my spot or, wherever that may be. Some people like to get up and walk around. You don't really need to be there an hour before. You need to be there about a half an hour if you don't care. If you have a car, you got to be there way earlier than that. So I hope that helps. Hello, Nick. Hi, John. Thanks for joining. Let me guys know where you're coming from because I see a lot of y'all's names all the time in comments, but I don't know where everybody is from. And that's actually super helpful for me sometimes when I'm answering questions like, what do I do when I'm coming to Greece from X? Because I don't always know where you're coming from. The next question is, what Athens beaches do I recommend? Okay, if you have to go to a beach in Athens, I would say the beach down across from Lake Vugulameni is really nice. But I don't really like the beaches too much here in Athens. They're very crowded in the summer. They don't feel very clean. And I would rather just get on a ferry and go to an island nearby. So if I was going to do that, I would either go to Egina and go down to Perdika and Egina and go swimming there, although it's not really a beach, but it's still nice. Or I would go to Agistri because you could go to Agistri. I think the last time I took the ferry to Agistri was like 11 euros each way. So I'm like, well, if I'm going to spend an hour on a bus, I might as well spend an hour on the ferry. But that's just me. If you don't mind like super like crowds and whatever, then go to the Athens beach. But I don't really like them. But that's just me personally. Okay. The next question is, where else in Greece would I live? Like, what city or island would I live on if it wasn't for Athens? Well, originally, when I came here, I wasn't planning on living in Athens. I was planning on living in Naxos. Naxos is my favorite island, and that's where I wanted to live. It's a big island. It didn't work out because I couldn't ever find an apartment for the whole year. Like, people would rent to me, but then they wanted me to move out for July and August. And I'm like, I don't want to move my stuff every year. Like, that's not happening. So, so I was like, I got really frustrated with the whole process, and I really needed to like find a place because you have to find a place to apply for residency. So I was like, forget it. I'm just going to move to Athens, and I traveled around for a little while, and then I finally moved here. So that's how I ended up here. So where else would I live? I don't even know if I would live in Naxos anymore. I love it, and I have friends that live there. I probably have more friends there than here. But it's become very, very touristy. So I would say that if I was like picking another place, I really liked Thessaloniki when I went in December, but although it was way colder. So I might consider spending some time there just to see. The thing is, I haven't spent anywhere long enough to say, yes, I would want to live there because I'm a person that doesn't just like, I'm going to move somewhere having never experienced it. So, Syros is another option because it's a really big island and it's not too far from Athens and it has an airport. And for me, that's important because if something happens with the ferries and I need to get out of here, like I have older parents. So, the thing is sometimes you just have to leave quickly. And that's not great if you're living on an island that doesn't have an airport. So, I don't know if there's any place else I would consider like big city wise. There aren't too many big cities here. Like everything else is a little bit smaller. So, and they're too far from the airport. Let's see. The next question is, do you need to make restaurant reservations in Athens? And if not, how long do you wait for a table? I would say it really depends on the restaurant. There are a couple of places that I really like to go that you do need a reservation, but I would say you don't need to book it weeks in advance. Like I've literally called like the day before. If it's not summer than I would maybe even call the morning of, and but although some Greek restaurants don't open until, like, 12:30, 1:00. Um, but if you see a place that you think you wanna eat at, like, that night or the next day, I would just go in and say, "Hey, do I need to make a reservation for tomorrow or later this evening?" And they can tell you, like, you don't have to call to make a reservation. You could just walk in and ask them. So, Greece is very chill, very, very casual. If you haven't been here, yeah, it's just very laid back. So I wouldn't worry about that. If you can't make a reservation, I think the most I've ever waited for a place has been like 15, 20 minutes. Now, there was one night when I had friends here in the summer a couple of years ago, and like every place I went to, there was like an hour wait. And I was like, what's going on? So I don't know. I don't often like go out to eat in the summer here because like in Athens because I'm either not here or it's August and I'm enjoying the quiet. So yeah, you may find a few that are like have insanely long waits. Just find somewhere else to go. Like no big deal. Um, Somebody asked me how difficult it is to find work here in Athens or in Crete, and I don't know because I don't work here. So, um, I you're welcome, Tessa. I'm glad you were here. People who submitted questions in advance, I'm like, are they gonna, hopefully they're gonna see the questions, my answers later. So I don't really know what the job market is like. I mean, there's a lot of unemployment, but there are also a lot of jobs in the summer, and I don't really know like the correlation between that. I mean, I yeah, again, it's hard for me to say. Depends on what you want to do too. Like if you just want to work in a restaurant, it might be easy. I couldn't tell you. I hate to say it, but that's just not something I know um anything about. Um Rogers asked me if I had to recommend one taverna for dinner in Athens, which would it be? So I have a really great place that I like to eat at. I'm afraid to tell you guys. I'm afraid it'll get like overrun. um, but it's called Piraliki. It's in Keramikos. So it's really great. It's the backyard is a garden, and that's where you sit and eat. If you don't want to go into Keramikos, I really like Chichikas Mermigas, which is the one of the locations is on Metropolis Street, which is just one over from Irmu off Sintagma, so it's pretty central. It does sort of cater to more tourists, so it is a place that you will need a dinner reservation for, probably just the day before. But it has some good food. Like the food there is great. It feels a little like you're eating on an island. It's part of the reason I like it. If you can ignore the Athens traffic going by. Somebody asked me if I found that Athenians and people in Santorini were the friendliest in Europe. I think that Greeks in general are just more friendly than the rest of Europe. Um, I don't know. I think that's part of it. It's just like that is their thing. Like Greeks are known for their hospitality. And so I think that's why. It's unlike in other places. And I feel like people who live here speak more English in Greece in general than many of the other European countries that I've been to. Even in Italy, where they have a very large tourist population. Like once you population tourists, like people coming in. Once you hit those small villages, and I've spent quite a bit of time in small villages. Like last year, I went and stayed with some friends who have an apartment, and almost no one in their village speaks English. They actually hired one of the local high school kids to come and help me because they were leaving. I went to watch their cats for them, and so they hired him in case I needed help because that's how few people in their village speak English. So once you leave Florence and Rome and Venice, maybe Milan and Bologna, it's difficult in Italy. So, um, yeah, Thomas, I that's what Thomas is saying it's difficult to get a job here. You need connections. So, and definitely wages are low. I would say less than 1,000 euros. I mean, the minimum wage isn't even 1,000 euros here. So a month, people. Um, it depends, Danny. If you've not been here before, I would say no. You need to stay in a hotel and not in an Airbnb. A lot of the Airbnb owners are not people who do this full time, like they have another job. And so they're going to be at work. And so if you need help from them, they're not going to be readily available. And a lot of the Airbnbs that I've stayed in, like when I've been between housing here, um, I've never even met the person. It's just been like a lockbox and a key code. And there's some like leaflets on the table, and that's it. So if you need a lot of assistance, then I don't recommend it. Now, it's different on the islands because they tend to be like this is their thing. But in Athens and probably in Thessaloniki too, no, I wouldn't recommend it unless you've been here a lot of time. Um, yeah, I love it here. But it's not for everyone. I mean, the thing is like if you've been here before, then you probably know what I mean. Like Greek bureaucracy is difficult, getting things done is difficult, and things just move at a much slower pace here, at least compared to where I'm from. So, but I'm used to that. I This is not my first foreign country to live in, so I'm used to things happening at a much slower pace. And like now, I went back to the US in December and January, and I went out to eat. And I was shocked at how many times the waiter kept coming over and offering me and asking me things. I was like, "Can you go away?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm now like Greek. Please leave me alone when I'm at the restaurant," which is funny because when I first moved here, I hated it. And I still hate that sometimes it takes you like an hour to get your check. It doesn't, that's rare. I will tell you that. That's rare. But overall, yeah, I love it here. So I don't know if you've seen this, Thomas, but somebody was asking if you can live on it. Uh, you can, it would be tight. So, I mean, somebody had asked me to talk about this a little bit, like the cost of living. The cost of living in Greece is going up, just like it's going up everywhere. But here it seems to have, because people make so little, it has more of effect. I mean, like rents are going up significantly. I probably couldn't rent my apartment in Kukaki for the price that I pay for it now. Like I pay 460, and people are asking like 700 euros. And if the minimum wage isn't even 800 euros, how do you have to have roommates, you have to have a spouse, I don't know. There's a family that lives near me and they have two kids. And I think, how do you have two kids in this economy? So somebody needs to water my poor plants when I'm not here. Luckily, I had a friend come when I wasn't here and water all my plants because, and I forgot to ask them to do it last summer when during the heat wave, and they're still not recovered. Poor plants. What's the worst food I've ever had? Like type of food, or just like where have I had the worst food? Have I had a bad? I don't eat anything that looks weird. If I don't like it, like if it comes out and it looks wonky, I won't eat it. Like I don't care that I'm paying for it. I just don't. I've had too many episodes of food poisoning in my life to like risk that. Um I I don't know if there's been a really bad food. I mean, the food that's been not great has just been like poorly executed Greek food. Like it's frozen or something. And they just didn't disclose that, or I didn't see it on the menu. So, yeah, I can't there's nothing that sticks out to me where I'm like, "Oh, that was awful." So that tells you anything. Um, yeah, you're welcome. There was somebody else's comment I was trying to see, this is why I have slow mode on because I'm having trouble keeping up a little bit here. Yeah, I mean, the same thing, like the wage comparative to the cost of living in Greece, similar. Like it's very low wages for like very high cost of living. Well, okay, I wouldn't say very high, but comparatively, it's very high. Like, and now for me, it's very low because compared to the US, it's much cheaper here. Like, so, uh, was wondering if it's typically super windy on Milos Tifnos in early August. Super excited. Okay, so here's the thing: is it's windy in the summer. It's windy most places on the islands in the summer. Now, will it be super windy and unenjoyable? Probably not. Could it be? Yes. That's when the Meltemi wind comes, but you want that wind because if not, you would die from how hot it is. So I get people are like, I don't want to come and be sandblasted, but the thing is if you didn't have that, it would be very, very hot. It's not gonna be windy enough, like, that your ferry's gonna get canceled every day, if that's what you're worried about. Um, you're gonna want the wind here. It's the thing that keeps it cool here. So I would my suggestion is that you just find a beach that's not windy. So whatever direction the wind is coming from, don't go there. And thank you. Thank you for saying that my, advice is candid. Did I miss a question about hotels? Danny, I see. Okay. Thomas is answering Danny about hotels, and maybe I've missed something. So if I have, I'm sorry. Please ask again. But maybe Thomas has answered your question. So, what's the best way to travel to the Peloponnese? Well, it depends it depends on if you just want to go one place or if you're wanting to like go around. If you're wanting to go around a lot of places, then you probably should rent a car because while there is a public bus system, it's very hard to like navigate it from town to town. From Athens to the town and back, it's easy. But for some reason, because I'll tell you why the bus companies are all different companies. So you have to go to each different company to look up the bus schedule. And not every stop is listed for the bus. So it's very hard to figure out, well, if I catch this bus, can I then take this bus to there? Now, if you want to be like super organized, you can email them and ask them, but they may answer, they may not. The bus schedule may change by the time you get here because the bus schedule for those buses come out about a month or so before. It usually doesn't change, but you never know. So yeah, if you're wanting to go like several places in the Peloponnese, rent a car. I have taken the bus though. Like I've taken the bus to Naphtali, I've taken the bus to Kalamata. Where else have I taken the bus to? I know you can take the bus to Corinth. You can even take the bus to Galatas and go to Poros on the tiny little ferry. Like you can go almost all the way to the island of Poros on the bus. Ah, okay, great. So glad that I did answer your question, Danny. So, okay, I'm going to go back to my list here. So we have about 30 minutes left before I have to jump off. So if you have other questions, make sure to get them in the chat because I am getting to the end of the list here. So I'll have plenty of time to answer any of your questions. And if for some reason you're watching this like on the replay, then you can ask me in the comments below and I'll get back to you. So just going to throw this up there to encourage you all to answer questions. Somebody asked if they need an international driver's license. And they had heard that this has changed. And that's part of the reason I asked people to tell me where they're from. You're welcome. Because I don't know where this person is from. So it kind of depends on where you're coming from. If you're from the US, then this is my answer. Technically, by law, you don't need one. They changed that recently. Recently, a few years ago. You should be able to use your US license. However, some of the car rental places don't know the rule or don't want to accept the rule or whatever. So I would recommend that you get one and just have it with you. Every time I go home to the US, I get one because I'm thinking to myself, well, I may want to go somewhere else and I have it. Like when I was in Italy last year, I rented it. They didn't ask me for it, but I gave it to them anyway and they took it. So the other thing is my understanding is that some people are saying that if you get stopped by the police, they're gonna ask for it, but technically they shouldn't be. So I believe the other countries this applies to are is Australia and the UK, but don't like 100% like, answer like depend on that. I would definitely check depending on where you're from whether or not you need one. In the US, you can get an international driver's license from AAA. And I just go in, I pay for them to take my photo, and I get it done, and I do it. I have them post date it as well. Like, I always go, like, the day or before I leave to come back to Greece, and I make it for, like, a week or so after, so it lasts a little bit longer. So if you're in the US, that's what I recommend. The next question I got was, do I recommend a trip to Athens around Christmas/New Year's Eve for like 8 to 10 days? And do Greeks celebrate publicly like the Austrians? Now, I've not been to Austria at all, let alone around Christmas, so I'm not 100% sure what it is that you mean. I've never been here at Christmas time either. I'm usually in the States with my family. So what I would say is that it's a great time to be here. It's not super cold, and the weather is usually not cold until January or February, so it's nice. And they do decorate. Like there's stuff happening. I don't know if there's enough happening for that long a period of time. The other thing I would say is when I went to Thessaloniki last December, they were way more decorated than Athens was. Like they have this big square, and they had all these decorations, and it was amazing. And so I really thought maybe Thessaloniki was a better choice. So maybe some other people who have been here at Christmas can answer those questions. Greeks tend to celebrate things at home, like they make it like at Easter. They do things during the week, but like on Sunday, on Easter Sunday, like they're at home with family. So um, I wouldn't count on there being, like, lots of celebrations, and Easter is a bigger deal here in Greece than it is elsewhere, so Christmas isn't as big of a deal. I hope that answers your question. And the last question that I got that was, like, sent to me before all this was underrated cities. Well, Thessaloniki, as I was mentioning, like, people know about it, but they don't necessarily go there. I know other Greeks tend to go to Thessaloniki. I think it is amazing. It's a hidden gem. And if you're a foodie, that's the place to go. I ate so much food. Now I was there on a press trip, so everything was arranged for me. But oh my gosh, the food was outstanding and everything was super local. And I had just started to eat no gluten. And so, like, all the restaurants were super accommodating. Like, they made special things for me. They knew exactly what they meant. There was one thing that they didn't, they said, "Oh, it was a dessert," and they didn't say anything that they were bringing my stuff out first, but they didn't bring out dessert first. I thought, "Oh, it's ice cream. It should be fine." Now I'm not allergic, so it's not a big deal. But I had like one bite of it, and they're like, "Oh, that might not be gluten free. Hold on, we have special ice cream for you." So, so I was really shocked. And I don't here in Athens, I don't really ask. I normally just order things that I know don't have bread and pasta. So that was that. I haven't been to many other cities here. I really want to go to Ioannina, but I'm hoping to go in the fall because I think it's more of like a beautiful fall destination. You're welcome. Okay, my most enjoyable food experience is in Sifnos. Sifnos is another place that has amazing food. Like there's actually one of the first Greek like cookbook authors is from Sifnos, and in September they have a gastronomy festival. So it's not the same time every year, so you'll have to go check and see what that is. Um, there is a restaurant on Kamari. There are two restaurants in Kamari Beach, Kamares. I'm thinking of Santorini, Kamares Beach. One is called Cafe Nes. It's in a hotel, and the other one I cannot recall. I have a blog post on Sifnos on my website, and it just came out. So, and they're all listed there. And then there's a place called, oh, I cannot remember the name. It's on there though. Go check out my website. I cannot think of the names. I'm really bad with remembering names. I remember the food, but I don't remember the names. I want to do one, I just don't know Kipseli very well, so I'm hesitant to do them in neighborhoods I don't know because I wanna show you guys things that I think you won't find on your own, and that's hard to do when I haven't spent much time up there, so but it's on my list. There are a couple of neighborhoods that I haven't done yet that I really wanna do, so Kipseli is one, I really wanna go down to Piraeus and do one, but Piraeus is gonna take me, like, a couple of maybe take me a couple of days because I wanna walk around and show things, and there Piraeus is, like, super spread apart and doesn't have great, like, transportation. It kinda depends on your situation, it that one's tough to answer, and I can't really, like, answer you for sure, my situation is really weird, so I I can't answer your question. Um yes. The archaeological combo ticket that they said was going away, but it's still available online. So, yes, it's been very confusing even to us here. So, they did make it available online, but I did go to the ticket office the other day, filming another video that'll come out next week. And what I noticed is that you can't buy the combo ticket in person. You can only buy the combo ticket online. So I think that's what they meant. This is like my revelation is that the combo ticket is only available online, but I do think it is going away next year. But Greece has a tendency to change its mind about everything. And one thing I will mention since we're talking about this is that earlier this year, they announced that Labor Day would move to May 7th, and so we all assumed that the strike day, which is usually May 1st, would happen on May 7th. Well, yesterday, a lot of the ferry companies started announcing that they would be canceling their ferries on May 1st because there's going to be a strike that day. So, like, I am super confused, super duper confused about when the strike is happening. And I haven't really said anything on my channel because I don't know yet. Like some ferries have made like official announcements, but it's not on the strike website. So I have no idea. Anyway, yes, Greece does have a tax treaty with the US. That I can tell you. Um, but it still depends on your situation. So I would definitely check with an accountant who is familiar with both. Hello, hello. Okay, fast ferries, slow ferries. Get this a lot. I would say it really depends on whether or not you get seasick. If you get seasick, I recommend the slow ferries because they're more stable. If you don't and you want to get somewhere faster and you don't mind being stuck inside, then you can take the fast ferries. I don't really consider the fast ferries worth the money if I have the time. So, yeah. So that's like general part of it. If you have more specific questions, let me know. I just take whatever works for my schedule the best and which price I want to pay. Usually, I don't find that the fast ferries really offer any value other than it gets you there faster. But I live here, so I'm like, I have some flexibility to like I leave first thing. Usually, the ferries I'm taking are the ones that leave at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and so it gets you there by noon. And I'm like, okay, great, I got a half day. But if you're like island hopping, you may not have an option either. That's the other thing is you may not have an option. Like everywhere you're going should be very well connected, but some of the like Milos, Sifnos, they really only have fast ferries. Yeah. So yeah, well, no, the tax treaty is for anyone, but it's still complicated because it depends on so many things. Sorry. My mother's an accountant, and I don't like to give people advice on taxes. That's part of the reason why I'm hesitant to say anything. So yeah, Thomas, this is the thing is like the fast fare and even slow ferries have gotten so expensive. Like I looked at going to Naxos just for like a couple of days and it was going to cost me so much in ferries. I was like, well, nope, not worth it because if I'm going to go, I'm going to spend it was like think it was going to cost me like over 100 euros return. And I was like, I'm not spending that to go for 4 days. It used to be 38 euros each way to go to Naxos. It is no longer 38 euros on the slow ferry. Yeah, so Santorini is far. So like I would either fly to Santorini and then take the ferries to your next places and then taking the fast ferry personally, but that's just me. Yeah, everything has gotten so expensive. And so I think it was 2022 when they raised the ferry prices, and they raised the ferry prices twice in that 1 year, which is just crazy to me. Like, and they haven't ever like, and that was because fuel costs had gotten so high. And now that I assume fuel prices have dropped, I don't have a car, so I'm not really aware of fuel prices, but um, I think that they've gone down. So I don't understand why they haven't lowered. I don't expect them to go back all the way down to what they were before, but maybe to that second increase. Cause like it's not worth it for me to try to go to an island for the week, like an island that isn't close to Athens for the weekend. So, okay. So Uber in Athens, not everywhere, does not call you a private driver. It calls you a taxi here. It used to be when I first came here, you can get an Uber and it was a private driver, but they did away with that. It's now illegal. It only calls you a taxi. So that's how I prefer to call a taxi because of my limited Greek. I just use Uber. There's another app called Free Now that's used to is like a local company. I don't like it. Doesn't mean it's bad, but I don't like it, so I don't use it. What about the drivers in the okay? Yes and no. Other people will say, no, they do not. And they are a little bit crazy. Driving is a little bit crazy here. Just because, like, excuse me, guys. Woo! They just drive a little very aggressively. So if you're not used to that, it can be a little bit daunting. Now, I've driven here, it's fine, but I'm from a very, very large city. I used to live in the Middle East where the driving is even more insane. I don't have a problem with the pedestrian thing, but that's me. Other people say no. But I also, A, used to live in New York City. So I'm like, go ahead, hit me. Let's see what happens. I'm also blonde, and people tend to like just stop for me. I have to assume it's because I'm blonde and people are like I stand out. Um, I've actually have drivers like they're coming down the road and I'm waiting for them to like go so I can go and they'll stop and they'll like wave me through. And my friends are like, that doesn't happen to me. So I think that's just for me, unfortunately. What I don't like about Athens, the one thing that I don't like about Athens is sidewalks. They are horrible. They are uneven. People park on them. There are trees planted in the middle of them. Sometimes there's no sidewalk. That drives me nuts. So that's my biggest thing. Like everything else, it's kind of noisy, but again, I'm city, so not really a big deal. No, it is not beat. It is now free now. Yep, scooters. Scooters driving right up on and they don't care. Now they don't care. I will tell you that. Like I'll be walking on the sidewalk and a scooter will or a motorcycle will pull onto the sidewalk and they'll just like they look at me like it's my fault. And I'm like, because I'm me, I just look at them like it's the sidewalk, buddy. Get out of my way. Like I give dirty looks to people here all the time. So um yeah, I probably piss off a lot of people with my like standing my ground. I'm not a timid person. So like I just don't. So oh, you guys are asking some really great questions. Like I may have to go make like a whole video on some of these. Now I will tell you that some of these I do have videos on already. Like I have a whole video on the ferries. And the video next week might tell you some things about what it's like here in the off season. I made a video last week on the don'ts of Athens that also will help you like navigate some of these questions. Yeah, Thomas is saying like they don't stop. Like my experience, I think, is a little bit different, and a lot of it is It's not that they don't care, they're just not paying attention. Like, they're just and it's not that they're not looking at the road, they're just not aware of their surroundings. So, um, that's what it is. A lot of it is just they're just not aware of what's happening. So, it's really kind of annoying. Can you buy it? Yes. So, if you go to the metro station, I keep meaning to make a video about this. Now I have a video on how to get from the airport and it shows you this, but what I want to do is make a tiny little video on how to buy the tickets. So you can't buy them at like the tram or the bus, but you go into the metro station and the pass that you get gets you into the bus, the metro, the tram. It does not get you from the airport. That is a separate ticket. It's the same looking ticket, but it costs more. But that one ticket will get you on all of them. And there's a 5-day pass. And then there's one that you can buy that's 10 plus one, so 11, like you get a free ride. And so if you're here for like, say 3 days or more, you might want to get the pass because it's only €8. Is it €8 and 20 cents? I don't know. It's really cheap. Like I was shocked. Um, that's really the only pass. If you're only here for a day or two, don't even bother because you're probably going to walk everywhere. Um, I walk everywhere. Yes. Good point. You have to keep your ticket, even if you're only using it once. So you're going to go in and you're going to tap it and it will let you in. The little gates will open. And then when you go out, you have to tap it again. So you need to hang on to your ticket, even if it's just for one time. Thank you. That's a really good point. Now, not on the bus. You just tap it when you go in, and then that's it. So that's it. Yeah, you can't in any big city. Like in any big city, you cannot be timid. Cities are not a place to like. I see a lot of people come and they seem overwhelmed, and I think it's because they're not city people. Um, so like that's part of it, because it can be overwhelming to come here and like it's noisy, it's loud, and people are like, and they run into you. The metro is really crowded, so like just be aware that all that's going to happen to you. Really, you don't have to go too far outside of Athens. I mean, outside of the center, like even like where I live is very much very real. Like I live very close to some really great bars and restaurants that locals hang out in. Kipseli is great. Even Kolonaki, where I used to live, while it's upscale, it's very like locals live there. I mean, it's really only Plaka, Monastiraki, and Siri, and around Sintagma where it's very touristic. Like, and people still live in those neighborhoods, not necessarily like a lot of them. Pankrati, Metz, those places are super close to the center, but are also not very touristy. And I do have a video on that those two neighborhoods. So yeah, Exarchia, if you're brave. I only suggest Exarchia if you're a city person, because if you go there and you're not a city person, it might scare the bejesus out of you. So I love it though. I love Exarchia. Yeah. Is it getting expensive? I imagine, I don't know. I feel like probably because it's getting that metro station. Yes. You have to be aggressive everywhere, even getting on the bus. Because sometimes you get there and there's people waiting to get on and I've had little old ladies like cut me off. I've had little old ladies and little old men cut in front of me at the supermarket. So I will tell you, stand your ground here. But that's true in any big city. Like New York is the same way. Yeah, Picrani is nice. I'm going there for tomorrow for lunch. That's a good place to go eat, where I'm going to eat lunch. It's called Mavro Provato. Very, very good. So, okay, we talked about this already, but you may have missed it. So my favorite place to eat is called Peroliki. It's in Keramikos. It's in a garden, really nice. And Went out of my head. Chichigas Myrmigas. I also really like that one. Nina Smyrny is nice. Also, Neos Cosmos is very authentic as well. Yeah, Tom is like there. The thing is like there are so many good places to eat in Athens. Like we could be here for a whole hour just talking about food. I mean, and that's everywhere. That's just not here in Athens. Like I said, Thessaloniki has amazing food. Naxos has amazing food. Um, like I'm always shocked. Sifnos food was amazing. Like there really hasn't been Eos, even Eos, Party Island Eos has amazing food. So I would not say that Athens is great for pizza. It's not their thing. Like not really a great place for pizza. Just not, I don't know, that's my personal opinion. I don't like the pizza here. I've never had a pizza like been amazing here. That's partly because, I used to live in New York City. So exactly. Yeah, no. Stick to Greek food. Even Asian food here is pretty good though. Um and I think that's just because like so many immigrants are here from different places. But for some reason, pizza. Go to Italy. You're so close. Like take the 2-hour flight to Rome and go have pizza in Rome. I went last year before I went to visit my friends, and the flight was only like 200 euros to get from here to Rome, and I was like, why am I not going to Rome like every weekend? So well, I'm gonna argue with you on that one. Pizza here is terrible. I'm sorry. Like they put the sauce is weird here. The crust is always weird here. Uh, there is a website and it's usually attached to the Epidavros Festival. So, because those shows only happen in the summer. So the tickets for the Odeon are sold through the Epidavros Festival website. So if you just Google Epidavros, which I'm sure I don't know, Dimitri. Dimitri, I don't like to assume if you're Greek or not because Dimitri can be a name in so many different countries. So I would Google Epidavros and see. I have been to Kalymnos, not my favorite. Haven't been to Simi, but it looks amazing. Like Simi looks different compared to Kalymnos because it's very green and beautiful. Kalymnos looked like a rock to me. I didn't enjoy it. It was very barren, and I didn't think it was very pretty. Good food though. A lot of people like to go to Kalymnos because it has great rock climbing, but I'm afraid of heights, so I'm not. No, I'm not a rock climbing person, but I would definitely, I mean, go and experience them. So, you are Greek, Dimitri. Okay, so you know how to spell Epidavros, so that's what I would do is I would go Google that. So, okay, you have to tell us where in Siri that you got this great pizza. What is the name of the place? Because I need to now go try it because I need that. I would love to do that. I don't have a car though. So unless I can get there on the bus that doesn't take 3 hours, then maybe. Like, I've been to Naplio and I've been to ancient Corinth and I've been to Delphi but like I have to be able to get there on the bus because I don't have a car. So, yeah, that's the one thing is I don't have a car. And as of right now, no plans to get one because I just can't afford it. All right, guys. Oh, good. Yes, Dimitri, you can. Um, so yes, I know, but even in Attica, I need a car to get to most of those places, or at least uh, like public transportation. So I don't like it's not necessarily like I don't know the area well enough to know whether or not I can get there. So, like, if you can suggest specific places, then I would love to do that. Like, it's the one thing I wish. I wish I had a car because then I could go more places. I can't afford to take a taxi to these places. I wish I could. Like, if I could afford a taxi to go to these places, then I could afford to buy a car, but I can't. So, makes me some bus suggestions and I'll go. So, anything else that I have missed that you guys are wanting to ask me before I go? Because I need to log out of here. We've done an hour, and I'm sure that my voice is gonna go at any moment. Well, okay, but if you're gonna go to Rome for pizza, you're gonna see other stuff in Rome, and you can get a good deal. Okay, share with us where we're finding these pizzas. I need to know where in Ferry and where in Sparty that I'm getting these. Yes, I cannot wait for summer cinema to open. Didn't get to go last year because I got sick, and I'm dying to go. Like, usually they open in May, like May 15th. I love summer cinema. It's actually the only way I go to the movies here, so I love the summer cinema. I can never say that word. So my favorite ones, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the basically outdoor movies. It's like going to a drive-in except there's no cars. So my favorite ones are the one in Theseum. And if you sit way in the back, you can see the Acropolis or the Parthenon all lit up. And then I like to go to the one in Kolonaki in Dexamini Square. Really great. And if the movie is in English, then it's in English with Greek subtitles. So don't worry about coming and not being able to like understand what's happening. Skiathos has one. A lot of the Greek Naxos has one too. So it's great. Hello. Oh, hi. I'm just about to get off. So if you have a question, ask me now. And if you're watching this on the replay, then you can ask me in the comments below. Yeah, they're in English. So the if the movie was filmed, the movie is shown usually in whatever the languages that it was filmed in with Greek subtitles. So sometimes that means what's annoying for me is if there's a foreign film, like so let's say there's a French film that comes, I can't go because the subtitles are in Greek, not in English. No, the water doesn't really get warm until like September. I hate to say it. It's not the Med is not the Caribbean. The Med is actually very cold. It's very, very deep. So, I mean, for me, I've swam in June, but even June is sometimes super cold. So, yeah. In crust we trust. Okay, I'm writing this down because first of all, that's an amazing name for a pizza place. And I need to go there because thank you. All right. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. I haven't done one of these in so long, and I really enjoy like talking to y'all, and I don't feel like I do them enough, and I probably should do them more often. So thank you. Oh, and here we have another pizza suggestion, remote pizza, and sometimes I just want a pizza, although that's difficult for me now. So but I do have to go now. So thank you so much again for joining me. I really appreciate it. If you haven't seen last week's video, you may not have noticed that I have opened up my memberships on YouTube. So if you want to support me in a little bit of an extra way, you can join. No obligation though. Everything like my regular videos and any live streaming will probably still be available to you. You can go see what those perks are if you click on the join button. Just clicking it doesn't make you join. You have to then pick a level and then you can see, but no pressure. And yeah, I am hoping to do more live streams soon. And now they've made this vertical live thing, which makes it a little bit easier for me to live stream like when I'm out traveling around. So hopefully I'll get to do those more often. So those may be more spontaneous. So, All right, guys, have a great day, evening, night, wherever you are, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for joining me. This was so much fun.